Welcome back to Eric Report. Today we're going to go over the Ukraine-Russia war and the U.S. part in it and all that other stuff that some people may not actually really realize that has been going on and why you may not be able to trust this Russian assets that we have in the government. Because you'll see what I'm saying. You will see. Some people may not know some of this information. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into it and you will definitely be enlightened. Let's start here. Back in the early 90s, Clinton, the head of Russia, and some other people over here, they signed a deal. Why did they sign a deal? What was that all about? Let me get into it right here for you. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in December of 1991, newly independent Ukraine inherited a bunch of nuclear weapons. By the time USSR had stationed some 1,900 nuclear warheads, 176 intercontinental ballistic missiles stored in underground launch silos, and 44 strategic bombers on the territory of Ukraine. That was leftovers after Russia broke up. Okay, Ukraine also had tactical nuclear weapons, up to 4,000 nuclear warheads on ground, to ground, or air-to-ground missiles. Ukraine's arsenal was the third largest in the world. Only the Soviet Union and the U.S. possessed nuclear, basically Russia and U.S. There was the only other two that had more. Okay, so if you can see, they had quite a bit of stuff. They could, they have that. You don't invade countries that have that kind of stuff. So what was Russia thinking? We don't know. We're going to get back into this article. We know what they did. I'm just going to update you. So a lot of people don't know that. In 1994, however, Ukraine signed the nuclear, basically, they're going to get rid of all of their nuclear weapons, basically, is what's going on here. The last strategic nuclear delivery vehicle in Ukraine was dismantled in 2001. So basically, it took quite a while to get rid of everything. So 2001 was the last time it had any nuclear anything over there. It was all basically dismantled over there. So let's get a little bit back into there. So you got where I'm coming from. They were a nuclear superpower. You can literally call them the third nuclear power in the world at that time. So let's get back in here. So we go here. Okay, here's a very, very, very important parts we're getting into right now. Ukraine pledged not to accept, produce, or acquire nuclear weapons. So they basically committed to reframing in the 1991 statement of the Parliament of Ukraine, basically on that one. Now let's get a little farther into it. In 1993's area, during negotiations, Kyiv remained resolute in demanding solid guarantees as an indispensable prerequisite for denuclearization. The U.S. and Russia complied. It would formalize these commitments in the Budapest Memorandum. They said solid security guarantees. Basically nobody's going to invade them if they give this up, because now they're weakened and they're trusting the U.S. and they're trusting Russia not to basically invade them or have any issues. Let's get back to the article. Let's see what we got over here. So this is some of the pictures of it. And I don't think there's much more, but they have all kinds of stuff. So another thing we want to get into over here is everything was fine and dandy. They were fine. And then Russia decided it's going to, in March of 2014, to invade Crimea Peninsula, part of Ukraine, and then annexed it, basically. I'm going to show you a picture of that. It's the darker green section, Crimea. That is part of Ukraine. Russia invaded and annexed this part. Now remember, they were not supposed to do that, but they did it anyway. Let's get back to the picture here. So now we got that issue. We have Russia here. And then as of the last approximate 3 years, this is what they decided to do. Russia, again, broke the agreement, trying to now invade the rest of the country. So basically, here's Crimea, this sort of this color right here, then the red area and all that. So that's Russia's invasion again. So if you're trying to tell me that it was, Ukraine's fault, Russia should never be there. They did nothing at all. They signed the agreement. They kept the agreement. Russia cannot stop. They played the game of let's invade so many years, then we'll back off. Everybody says, okay, and that's what we're trying to do again. And then we already have a good example. 8 to 10 years later, after this, they're not going to keep their promise. They're going to try to invade the rest of the country when nobody's paying attention. That's why Ukraine demands some military foreign countries as like the UK or maybe USA when we can be trusted again. Because right now we have a guy who can't be trusted for a second. He's a fucking orange turd. Screw that piece of shit. But anyway, and he's trying to get minerals. He's just a gangster bitch. Anyway, I don't think I'm supposed to say that. I'm not monetized. I don't care. So anyway, you can't trust Russia. They go back on the word all the time. There is the evidence, you MAGA fucks. So anyway, that's all I got for you. And if you do like my videos, please like, subscribe, hit the bell button, share with a friend, and stay calm, and I'll see you on the next one. And don't forget, May 1st, protest against Trump turd and MAGA filth. Yeah, be there if you can. If you can't, try another time. I have descriptions in the link description below for the protest, for calling your congressman and telling them they need to get off their butt and do something about this evil dictator clown known as Chump. Anyway, have a good one.